Caminante. No hay puentes. Se hace puentes al andar. My legal name is Daniela Roberts Reagan. I believe there is simultaneously much power to be given and also to be lost through naming. My parents, each born into spaces betwixt and border between, emigrated from different lands to eventually converge in Washington, D.C. It was here they chose to name me. Daniela is apparently an amalgamation of each of their first lovers' names. I always thought that this was a strange way to name a child, like trying to shroud a light with a magnifying glass. This name casts light from lamps no longer tended, and yet it is my own. My middle name is taken from a grandfather who I never met. From what little I know, he was a brilliant and toxic man who spoke better Spanish than mi abuelita. From the way my mother says this, it's clear he tried to get under her skin. Last name Reagan. It tastes awful, like a mouthful of pebbles scratching against each other and grinding my teeth. Another name gifted by yet another educated and toxic man who rescued my father from an Austrian orphanage in the aftermath of the Second World War. He later disowned him for marrying a brassy and unrepentant Latina, my mother, in 1988. I have never met this man either, and yet still I bear his name. Having spent much of my life sifting through the dregs of these unwelcome legacies, the only name I've come to know as my own is Del Mar. Water may have no memory, but she remembers. My name is Daniela Del Mar. I'm a Chilean Austrian quiltre. I'm 28 years old and identify as queer and non-binary. I believe there is simultaneously much power to be given and also to be lost by putting names to things. Water may have no memory, but she remembers. As with naming, the act of building both has much to give and much to discern. Guiding intentions inform architectural manifestations of these concepts. Their purposes live at the intersection of inclusion and exclusivity. Building walls is meant to define spaces and to divide them from each other, while building bridges is meant as a pathway to connect discrete spaces to one another. Both types of construction can shelter and divide, protect and prevent, span and separate, retain and transition. Building one isn't any kind of easy answer to destroying the other. One isn't always inclusive while the other always exclusionary. To be queer is to actively reject complacency with binary explanations of the world. Each of these architectural features can be built to ensure our survival, and each can be dismantled to do the same. I've chosen to unmake certain bridges by naming myself, something that has simultaneously shored up other levees. These are personal defenses against oppressive political forces, ones that seek to drown us out by not letting us remember that we, the queer and mixed inhabitants of borders between, are natural architects. We navigate spaces, we walk through walls. We define ourselves through building bridges and by lacking them. Intersections are formed and reinforced, identities are built and renovated, stagnant waters are left to evaporate and sometimes be recirculated. There may be no record, but the architect will remember. Our borderlands comrade in queerness and artistry, Gloria E. Ansaldúa once said, "Wanderer, there are no bridges. Bridges are made by walking." And to her call I respond, "Recolectore, si existen muros, se deshacen muros al radicar." Gatherer, if walls exist, they are unmade by planting roots.